2000s were a sci-fi fever dream, a decade lurching from garish blockbusters to buried brilliance. Avatar sauntered in, dazzling us with 3D jungles, and Navi so smug they'd braid their tails while rebooting Fern Gully as a galactic saviour fantasy. Sustainability sermons included, ego sold separately. That was back when hitting $1 billion was a thing. The Matrix sequels drowned us in leather, wire fu, and a philosophy tangle so dense you'd need a PhD to feign interest. All whilst Hollywood OD'd on CGI and Keanu Reeves' trademark squint. Meanwhile, the decade's true sci-fi gold lurked off radar. 7 films that skipped the fanfare and handed us wit, soul, and a grin sharper than a laser's edge. These are my 7 golden gems of the aughts. Slam them onto your watch list now. Think I've skipped a gem? Toss it in the comments. I'm listening. Equilibrium crept into theatres in 2002, armed with a modest 15 million, only to be summarily trampled by the Two Towers juggernaut. Like a butterfly fluttering into a stampede of Tolkien's war elephants, Christian Bale, long before he was rasping about in Gotham and making Batman cool again, stars as John Preston, an enforcer. In this future, emotions are outlawed because a spot of joy might topple civilization, or so the ruling council proclaims. Everyone's dosed with prosium, a drug that flattens life into a joyless slog. Art's consigned to the bonfire, music's a hanging offence, and smiling is the sort of reckless act that earns you a sternly worded reprimand from a clipboard-wielding overseer. Preston enforces this grim edict with gun kata, a combat style so preposterously theatrical it's as if a ballet choreographer raided a firing range and decided to stage Swan Lake with live ammunition. When John the Enforcer misses a dose, the facade crumbles faster than a politician's election pledge. He's sobbing over Beethoven like a jilted romantic, stroking outlawed puppies with the zeal of a man who's just discovered the concept of fluffiness, and questioning why he spent years torching beauty for a regime that likely bans staff picnics for fear of spontaneous merriment. Bale's transition from emotionless cog to quiet agitator is a slow, delectable thaw. His eyes alone could convince a glacier to pack up and move south. The film's drenched in early 2000s aesthetics, black coats and stark sets that nod unsubtly to the Matrix. And the effects wobble like jelly in an earthquake, but it's a fusion of dystopian chill and action, which skewers the absurdity of conformity with a knowing glance. Director Kurt Wimmer, with a budget that wouldn't cover a blockbuster's sensitivity readers, crafted a minor marvel. Yet it scraped in a mere 4 million. Equilibrium is a hidden gem because it's sci-fi with a sardonic jab at the humorless powers that be. Imagine a petty bureaucrat plotting a revolt with a twirl and a trigger. You need to see it for Bale's emotional renaissance and the sheer lunacy of its dance fight dystopia, a spectacle that mocks its own premise while daring you to look away. Primer emerged in 2004 with $5,000 less than a Hollywood camera repair job, and turned time travel into a gloriously dishevelled brain twister. Shane Carruth, who stars as Aaron alongside David Sullivan's Abe, follows 2 engineers who accidentally cobbled together a time machine in their garage, a contraption that looks like it was salvaged from a skip and powered by sheer stubbornness. What begins as a casual tinker, 2 friends fiddling with gizmos over lukewarm coffee, probably debating who forgot to bring the biscuits, spirals into a tangle of timelines, doppelgangers, and friendships that fray faster than a TMU jumper. The 77-minute runtime is a raw, unpolished delight. Wobbly cameras that suggest Carruth was too busy directing to hold them steady, a tie that screams we spent all the budget on duct tape, and techno jargon so dense you'd need a physics degree, and a caffeine drip to feign comprehension. Carruth offers no gentle introduction. You're hurled into the chaos, peering at the screen like it's a cryptic crossword abandoned mid-solve, desperately trying to deduce which Abe's the original and which is just a spare. It's not Back to the Future with a polished ride, it's more like your insufferably clever colleague explaining causality over a drink, only with higher stakes and a budget that wouldn't stretch to a tip. The film's lo-fi charm is its weapon, poking fun at the glossy time travel tropes of its peers, while daring you to keep pace with its labyrinthine plot. It snagged Sundance Grand Jury Prize and earned $425,000, a tidy coup for loose change, but remained a niche murmur, too intricate for the blockbuster brigade and too scruffy for the idle viewer. Primer is a hidden gem because it's sci-fi that sneers at your need for a tidy narrative. You need to see it for the smug thrill of half grasping its madness, or at least pretending you have, while nodding sagely over a drink, wondering if you've actually missed the point entirely. Serenity floated into theatres in 2005. With a $30 million budget, a bittersweet encore for Firefly fans after the 2002 series was axed at 14 episodes. Nathan Fillion's Mal Reynolds captains the Serenity, a ship that's more rust bucket than rocket, shepherding his ragtag crew through a galaxy ruled by the Alliance, a regime so polished it could flog fog to a mist and call it a bargain. Their mission? Stay afloat while protecting River Tam, Summer Glau, a psychic prodigy who's half-fragile wave, half-whirlwind of destruction when provoked. Like a librarian who's secretly trained in Krav Maga and isn't afraid to use it. Joss Whedon's script is a delight. "I aim to misbehave" is the sort of line that deserves its own plaque. And the action carries a scruffy grace from spaceship chases that hum like a street fight, to River Bar's brawl, a gavotte of violence that's as elegant as it is brutal. The emotional weight is there, no spoilers, but feels like a jest gone horribly awry, leaving the crew and viewers reeling. Fans waged a valiant campaign to resurrect Firefly, and Serenity was their hard-won prize, but it only mustered $31 million against Revenge of the Sith's $660 million onslaught, like a rowing boat challenging a battleship in a tsunami. Serenity is a hidden gem because it's sci-fi with a roguish tilt at pompous authority. You need to see it for its warmth, its skewering of galactic bureaucracy, and the way it turns a band of misfits into a family who'd cheerfully fleece you at poker while still offering you a bed for the night. Children of Men surfaced in 2006 with a $59 million budget and somehow didn't get the standing ovation it deserved, perhaps because it arrived alongside Casino Royale and Pirates 2, $824 million. Alfonso Cuarón crafts a sci-fi vision that eschews gadgets for a world teetering on the brink. It's 2027 and humanity hasn't produced a child in 18 years. Hope's a faded poster peeling off a wall. Clive Owen's Theo Farron, a jaded cynic who'd rather cradle a whiskey than cradle the future, is reluctantly tasked with safeguarding Key, Claire Hope Asherty, first pregnant woman in nearly 2 decades, through a Britain that's a dystopian ruin, refugee cages, bomb-ravaged streets, and a government that's turned despair into a national pastime. Just like now then. Alfonso's direction is hypnotic. Those long takes, like the car ambush that unfolds with such relentless tension you'll forget to blink. Owen's crumpled resolve anchors it, his every sigh a testament to a man who's given up on everything but the next drink, while Michael Caine's pot-addled Jasper breezes in like an ageing hippie crashing a tribunal with a loot and a manifesto. It's not gleaming futurism. This is more a stark tableau you can almost taste, damp concrete, stale air, and the faint whiff of bureaucratic incompetence. It earned 3 Oscar nods: cinematography, editing, adapted screenplay. Children of Men is a hidden gem because it's sci-fi that skewers our smug optimism with a deadpan stare. You need to see it for its bleak flicker of hope, like spotting a daffodil in a rubbish tip, and the way it mocks our knack for ruining a good thing. The Fountain slipped out in 2006, a $27 million budget, and was promptly overshadowed by Happy Feet's $298 million penguin prance, like a bard reciting elegies at a circus tent. Darren Aronofsky weaves a sci-fi oddity that's more poetry than plot, starring Hugh Jackman in 3 guises. Conquistador chasing the Tree of Life for his queen, Rachel Weisz, a scientist battling his wife's cancer with desperate fervour, and a monk drifting in a bubble with said tree, musing on eternity like a philosopher who's misplaced his meaning. Weisz is the thread dying across centuries with a grace that's frankly unreasonable, while Clint Mansell's score is a tear-soaked colossus. You'll need a tissue or perhaps a stiff drink to steady the nerves. The visuals, golden expeditions, starry whirls, are like peering into a dream journal penned by a mad artist. It's not about photon torpedoes, but the futile clawing at immortality. Imagine Star Trek ditching warp drives for a lament scratched in iambic pentameter. Jackman's anguish cuts deep, his every furrowed brow a plea against fate, while Weisz glows like a star on the wane, and Aronofsky plunges into the metaphysical mire without so much as a compass. Critics were divided, 51% on Rotten Tomatoes, audiences bolted, 12.8 million gross, and it remains a Marmite film. Profound to some, a muddle to others. I'd argue profound, like a riddle draped in silk that smirks at your confusion. Fountain is a hidden gem because it's sci-fi that mocks our obsession with cheating death with a tender sneer. You need to see it for its beauty, its gentle jab at human vanity, and the way it lingers like an uninvited guest who's brought a bottle of something rare. Sunshine flared up in 2007 with a $31 million budget and got buried beneath the summer's bombast. Transformers $550 million and Harry Potter 5 $732 million, so it drowned like a whisper at a rock concert. Danny Boyle assembles a stellar crew who want to reignite a dying sun with a bomb the size of a small county. It could have been a shallow spectacle, but Boyle crafts something luminous and faintly unhinged, poking fun at humanity's penchant for solving cosmic problems with explosives. The visuals, solar flares dancing like a celestial bonfire, and John Murphy's score, a soaring hymn that's since been pilfered by every inspirational montage, lend it a radiance that's hard to ignore. The Icarus II crew navigates their creaky vessel, blending sharp intellect and frayed tempers. Kappa's quiet logic contrasts with Mace's brash insistence, while the others wrestle with the absurdity of their task. Then they encounter the abandoned Icarus I, and it's as if the film flips, culminating in Mark Strong's sunburnt enigma. A third act twist that's either a shark leaping move or forgivable, because the rest is stunning and smart. I lean forgivable. It made $25 million against the season's giants, but Sunshine is a hidden gem for its mix of awe and absurdity, like a sci-fi fresco with a footnote that reads, "Wow, that escalated," and its sly dig at our habit of throwing bombs at things. It's dazzling cerebral jolt that marries jaw-dropping visuals with a sardonic nod to our problem-solving habits. It's a hidden gem because the cast crackles, the score soars, and that shark jump? Debate it over coffee, if you've got the nous to savour a film that's equal parts stunning and unhinged. Moon touched down in 2009, pieced together on a $3.9 million budget, a mere footnote beside Avatar's $2.1 billion grossing Colossus. And it's a subtle stunner that deserves far more than a polite nod. Sam Rockwell is Sam Bale, a miner marooned on the lunar surface harvesting helium-3 for 3 years with only a potted plant for companionship. Imagine a loner who swapped human chatter for a silent stare down with foliage. He's yearning for home, his wife Tess, his daughter Eve, perhaps a meal that doesn't taste like processed despair, when a rover crash spits out another Sam Bale, fresh from the production line. The clone twist lands with a dry, knowing nudge, and Rockwell plays both with razor-sharp finesse. One's a worn-out husk nursing lunar fatigue, the other's a bewildered newbie grappling with his own barcode, like a man debating his reflection after a particularly long shift. Kevin Spacey's Gertie, the AI assistant, delivers lines with a calm so eerie it's chilling. Think a virtual therapist who's already scheduled your demise, between pleasantries. Duncan Jones keeps it lean and intimate, no galaxy-hopping heroics, just a man, his duplicate, and a moon that watches like an unblinking overseer. All hush and hidden agendas. The stillness steals the show, and a stench of boardroom cynicism so ripe it'd make a tycoon blush. Jones threads in sly jabs at corporate indifference, with lunar industries treating humans like cogs too trivial to warrant a memo. This isn't sci-fi that shouts, it's a slow, piercing whisper that swaps pyrotechnics for a creeping sense of dread. Rockwell's dual turn is a tightrope walk of pathos and wit, and Jones turns a modest budget into a haunting hidden gem coup. You're sharp enough to crave a story that skewers solar systems, while keeping you guessing. Moon is it. Add it to your watch list, your intellect demands it, even if it leaves you side-eyeing your own shadow. So which films did I miss? What's your favourite? Let me know in the comments.